There we go. Had to get the... All right, good day, good day.
Hi, how are you?
How you doing? Good to see you
I'm so
again.
excited.
Yeah. So, and of course she's gonna be excited as well.
I
Give me a
know,
second while I
I
put
know.
this in
And I'm
here.
not the world's best
Uh-huh.
at like
Yeah, I
keeping my
understand.
tone down or being
Yeah.
mellow, but
Well, funny you say that because I was just talking, I was just talking to Scott, and the most important thing is impulse control, right?
yeah,
And I tell people all the time because essentially you guys are the pack leaders. So she is going to take form from the people that are leading her, right?
so I'm
Now,
not.
yes, the biggest thing is you have to control your impulses, right?
Yes, yeah.
Because, for her, genetically, that's already who she is. So in order for her to become not necessarily the opposite, because we're not asking her to change who she is. We're just asking her to learn how to manage the impulses, right? Exactly,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, it's funny, in the dog world, we call it behavioral modification. I don't necessarily believe in modifying a dog, because if a dog is who they are genetically, we can't modify that. There's nothing I can do to really modify who a dog is. But what I can do is help her manage and then teach you guys how to manage her, right? So I really like to call it behavioral management as opposed to behavioral modification, right? So, and that's really, excuse me, that's really the goal. Again, the 3 weeks spent with her, teaching her how to manage her behaviors. And now the time that I'm going to spend with you guys, today, and you guys still have 3 sessions after today, so we can continue learning how to manage her, right? So the time that I'm spending with you guys today is just really to teach you guys how to manage her with the foundation that I've put on her for the last 3 weeks. So reintroduction rules, and this is just in the beginning, essentially act like she doesn't exist, right? So we're going to speak to each other, right? You're going to see me interact with her, right? Just to kind of reel her back in, because she's going to be excited, right? She knows she's home. She probably already knows she's home, right? She could probably already smell it. She could probably hear you guys. But once she's able to see you guys, you're going to see that excitement level go up, which is okay. We're not going to punish her for that, right? But we are going to communicate to her that it's not the proper way to introduce yourself. Because if she does it with you guys, then she's going to do it with everybody else, the jumping, the claw, all of that stuff that we don't want. So the way you see me correct her with you guys is how you should correct her with everyone else that comes in the house, right? Because she has to have manners. So I'm going to pull her out. Like I said, no touch, no talk, no eye contact. All your energy is directed towards me. And,
Can I go grab a coat? Are we gonna be out there for
we may be out here for about 5 to 10 minutes.
Let me go grab
Yeah,
a coat.
yeah, no problem, no problem.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I
Just warmed in Mexico.
yeah, man, is that where you guys just came from?
Yeah.
You look like you got a tan.
I got more than that.
Nice.
Burnt.
Man.
1 day in the sun.
Wow,
I
nice.
didn't even a whole day.
Yeah. What part of Mexico you guys go to?
We were down below Cancun, below Playa del Carmen.
Nice.
Did we go down in there?
Never been to Mexico.
I don't know.
Never been to Mexico. I've been to Bahamas, and I've been to England twice, and Scotland. Yeah, Scotland.
Huh.
Yeah. Those are only places I've been out of the country so far. So,
Been to Scotland. She wants to go.
oh yeah.
She's Scottish.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
We did a whole tour of Ireland a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Should've been more thoughtful about this one.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so, all right, so let's go ahead and get her out.
Oh, eye contact, huh?
Yes, just act like she doesn't even exist. All right.
Welcome home, a big
Yeah. So, excuse me. The first thing you're going to hear me do, right? As a matter of fact, you guys can come here just so you can kind of see what I'm doing, right?
So we watch you.
Yes. Like I said, all of your interactions is directly with me. Yeah, it's directly with me. And again, that's really just to control her excitement, because obviously if you guys go in and she'll get elevated and then it's just chaos all over the place. So what you're going to see me do, right? From the initial start of opening that door is me controlling the space of this door, right? And what this translates to is any barrier, right? And a barrier doesn't even actually have to be a physical barrier. It could be a make-believe line, right? It could be any barrier that I want to set to where I want to control the energy of what we're doing, right? So a barrier could literally be this line in the driveway, right? To where if I wanted to teach her not to cross this line, right? What I'm doing here is the same thing you would do here. So if you want to teach her not to go into the kitchen, it's the same thing here, right? So this concept that we do here applies to any threshold that you guys want to control, okay? So as I open this door, just because the door opens doesn't mean she have permission to come out, right? So as you can see, that anxiety is starting to build up. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to open the door. So first, let me say this concept, right? I'm always looking to create an environment for her to fail, a controlled environment for her to fail, right? And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to teach, right? Training is about teaching. I can't expect her to do something if I have not taught her to do it, right? So I'm always looking for an opportunity to teach her something. And then once I teach it, then we practice it, right? And then we test it, right? And that's the process over and over and over again, right? I teach it, we train it, we test it, go back to square one, right? So people, and the reason why I say that is because people ask me all the time, when's the best time to train? Well, is the dog alive? Right? Are you alive? Train, right? It's time to eat. Like you saw me do the hand feeding. We're training. She has to eat. So I'm just going to use that time to train as well. You know, because my father used to always tell me, it's not how much time you have, it's how efficient you are in that time. So I'm never looking for a separate time to go train.
Now, to that note,
Yep.
we have always just left dog food available to her whenever she wanted to eat.
No more.
So now go to like a 2 meal a day type thing.
So you can do as many meals as you like.
Okay.
What I would say is never give her free access to food, because then the food loses the value,
Okay.
right? So I'm always, and that's the thing about training, is leverage. What can I use for leverage, right? And I'm always, and the reason why I like food over treats is because I have to feed the dog, right? I don't really have to give you treats. Treats is extra. Really, I'm be honest, treats really make us feel good, right? It's really for the human and not necessarily for the dog. So, but I have to feed her, right? So the reason why I like to use the food, one, because it gives the food more value, right? And also it gives me more value. So now when the food comes from my hand, as opposed to a unlimited bowl, right? Who does she has to go to get what she wants? She has to come to me. So now the fact that she has to come to me and not to an inanimate object, I can make her
Higher value in it.
much higher value.
So how much have you been feeding her, and how often have you been feeding
So,
her with this training?
Yeah. So because of the training, I will put it to you like this. It will probably be the equivalent, and there's really no set amount, right? Because there's a couple of things I'm looking to do. I never want the dog to lose weight while she's with me, right? But then also I have to balance potty training. So typically, she's going to get most of her food before 12 o'clock. Because the rest of the day, I want her to get that food out. So that way it's less of a chance of her using the bathroom in the kennel or having an accident, right? So that's typically how that works. Now, there's going to be some days, just depending on my schedule, where she's going to eat a little later. But typically, that's how I do my feedings with all of the dogs. As far as the amount, I will probably have to equate it to, like, she has the cup. So I would do about 2 cups,
Okay.
right? Each feeding, on average. Now, sometimes,
Oh,
yeah,
you're mainly doing it in the morning.
mainly doing it in the morning, right?
Is she getting 1 meal a day, or plus all the snacks?
Well, it's so if I had to put a number on it, it would be more like 2, because typically she would get a meal like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
When, I let them out.
All the way full cup?
Yeah, because I'm doing a lot of hand feeding, and she's seriously food.
Motivated.
motivated, right? So I just use that to my
One
advantage.
cup in the morning, hand fed, or 2 cups in the morning.
2 cups,
2 cups in the morning and 2 cups.
like afternoon,
Okay.
like so, like 12 o'clock. Now you don't have to do that much because again, we were what's the word I'm looking for? I was kind of expediting a process. So I was using more food than you probably would typically feed her on a daily basis because of all the training
Right.
or teaching that I had to do. So I was using the food as a motivator because it just makes it easier, right? So yeah, so you guys can kind of play with that, but that's what I was doing. But again, the most important part is never give her free access to food. Because now with a dog like her that is highly motivated to do things, right? She has nothing to work for. So now everything she gets, she's developed the understanding that she has to work for it. It's not just given to her, right? So it becomes of higher value. Yep. So yeah, so now what I'm gonna do, right? And it's good that we actually sat here and spoke for a while because I wanted her anxiety to go up just so we can control it, right? So again, I'm looking for moments to put her in a position to fail in a controlled environment, right? So, hey, sit. Yes, good girl. So now as I open the door, if she goes to get up, the negative reinforcer is closing the door, right? Taking away space, right? That's the negative reinforcer. Because I asked you to sit, that means I want you to stay in that sit, right? So as I open the door, nope, sit. Yes, good girl. I go to open the door again. Nope, sit. Good girl. And all I'm doing is testing. Nope, sit. Is testing to see. That, sit. Is, yes, good girl. Good girl. Right? I'm just testing to see how long it's going to take me to be able to open that door and her not just totally run out, right? So now this is the moment when this is the moment when I want to put the leash on, right? And this is a mistake that most people make. They put the leash on when the sit. Hey. Sit. Yes, good girl. Most people make the mistake of putting the leash on when the dog is most excited. So that's why you get the reaction of when they see the leash, they start, sit. They start going crazy because we've created the behavior of leash equals excitement, right? Sit. Good girl. So now I'm doing the total opposite. Leash equals calm. So that way when she sees the leash, she does this. As opposed to seeing the leash, she goes crazy. And then we got to chase her all over the place. She's rolling all over and doing all that stuff before, we're trying to take her outside. Good girl. Nope. Sit. Good girl. Okay. So I'm going to let her get away with it only because yep, it's okay. Come here. Come here. Come. Come.
Did I handle that right?
Yeah, that's fine. That was fine. Yeah, that was just a little blooper on my end. Come here. Okay. So let me close this real quick and then we'll get her things out in a minute. So yeah, so any questions on that so far?
No, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So I tell people all the time, in order to create the behaviors that you want, do the total opposite of what you were doing before. Because, right? And now as simple as that sounds, right? The psychology, excuse me, the psychology behind that is, the reality is a lot of the times we actually reward bad behaviors. And we're not doing it intentionally, of course, we're just not aware of what we're doing, right? So, hey, Lily, yes, come. Right here, place, right there. So now this is where the excitement kicks in, right? This is where her ability to focus starts to become the challenge, right? So now I want to show you guys how I get her attention back, right? Through tactile communication, right? So if you notice, every time she goes the opposite way, I go the opposite way. Because what I'm trying to do is create space. So that way I can use the leash as a tool of tactile or physical communication, right? So she goes this way. And also what I'm doing is testing to see if she is paying attention to me, right? So obviously right now, her nose is all over the place, right? She knows she's home. She's like, oh, I know this place. So it's like, ooh, 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 I'm back home. So all of those behaviors, right? All of those emotions that are associated with this place and you guys are starting to come back up, right? So this is the moment where we have to remind her, we don't do that anymore, right? So now, how do I get her attention, right? And what this relates to is on the walks, squirrel, bird, whatever it is, right? How do I communicate with her without using my voice? Because the one thing I know, when she's in that excited state of mind,
She's not listening.
words have very little value, right? Where they used to. Now they have more value because of the work that we've done, right? But there's still going to be moments, just like us, where we get hyper focused on something. And let's say, you're on the computer. He's calling you, but you're hyper focused on what you're doing on the computer. It's not like you're ignoring on purpose. It's just that you're hyper focused on what you're looking at, right? Yeah. So what tends to happen is hey, babe, I'm calling you. The assertive tap on the shoulder, I call it, right? And it's like, oh, it breaks you out of that trance. So it's the same thing with her, right? So all I do is once she gets hyper focused on something, hey, yes, good girl. And as soon as she turns around, right, and acknowledges that I'm speaking to her, hey, good girl. What am I saying? Thank you for giving me your attention, right? So I have to reward her for acknowledging the fact that I'm talking to her, right? Whereas opposed to what happens most of the time, we get upset when they actually start paying attention. So now what we're doing, we're creating conflict because we don't understand that, oh, she was just, being Lily, right? So, and that's the reverse psychology that we have to start, implementing in our daily communication with her, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, so that's
He's
one.
going to be much more natural at this. This is
Okay.
going to be a foreign concept. I mean, this is
Yeah.
definitely against the grain of what I typically do, but
Yeah.
I think he has already kind of
Uh-huh.
this and kind of, I wouldn't say mastered this, but
Yeah.
he's a lot more natural at this part.
Yeah. So, and that's again, that's why I like to do the videos, because I can send this to you, and it can, of course, be a reminder,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, because you're gonna have moments where it's gonna be a brain fart.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a
I didn't do that right.
yeah, exactly, and that's okay because again, you're learning too. So that's why I tell people, again, you have 3 follow-up sessions after today. Don't try to be perfect today. It's impossible, right? And
Like, can we hug on her whenever we get in? Or is that just not a good idea?
I'll let you know. I'll let you know when, right? Because let me ask you this. Why do you want to hug her? Right,
And I want to be affectionate with her.
Right.
And that's how I show my affection to her.
right.
She probably doesn't need it as much as I do.
Well, there you go. So is the hug for her, or is it for you?
It's for me.
Right.
I guess
So-
I can hug him.
Yeah. I know it probably doesn't.
Not as much.
Yeah. And the reason why I ask that, again, there's nothing wrong with hugging your dog and loving your dog. Obviously, you want to do that, right? But she has to earn it. Because if you just freely give it to her, guess what she's going to do? She's going to go right back to being, right, the old Lily, where when I first came, she was pulling you guys all over. And she wasn't doing it to be rude. She was just doing it because
We allow it.
you allow it. You allow her to abuse you
Yeah.
in Lily's way.
Yeah.
Nope. Right? And you got to remember, dogs, they don't experience empathy like we do. They have it because they're mammals. All mammals have it. But they don't experience it nearly as much as we do. Right? So, if we put too much human empathy on the dog, you get Lily of 3 weeks ago. Right?
We don't want to treat
You don't want 3 because again, she's still a young dog, right? She still has a lot of growing to do. Right? If she kept on that same path, right, that's a lot of dog to try to control. That's out of control, right? So she was a lot of dog now at this size, right? Just because of her energy levels. So yes, you can hug on her, but the timing of it, because you got to remember, hugging and affection is a reward for a dog. That's a reward, right? So again, that goes to the food. You can't just.
Like a man.
Yep. Excuse me. I got I got allergies in my throat is agitated right now, so that's why I keep coughing. But yeah, treat her like
You gotta earn it. You gotta earn it.
that was funny, but that's a great example.
Nope.
That's a great example. So yes, does that make sense though?
Yeah.
Yes, she has to earn her affection, right? Because if she just freely gets it, then it's like, oh, you're gonna give it to me anyway, so I'm still gonna misbehave, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'll let you guys know when it's time to kind of give her the physical affection. But even then, you got to know when to turn it off when she gets overly excited, right? Because we don't want to go into feeding into rewarding bad behavior. Yeah. So yeah, hey, Lily, sit. Good girl. That's a good girl, right? So sometimes, if you notice, even waiting the situation out. If you notice, I didn't say nothing to her the entire time, right? Because I just know sometimes it's a waiting game. If she can't get to what she wants to get to, the natural state is avoidance, right? And then after avoidance, it becomes, well, you know what? After not having it for so long, it's really not that important. So I can see it, and I really don't want it that bad. I can control myself, right? And that's where the impulse control comes in, right? But that's where the patience comes in for us, right?
Yeah. You must have had an amazing amount of patience.
Well, I train a lot of dogs. And trust me, I have my moments where I have to like walk away sometimes because I'm human. I lose my patience too, but I'm aware of it. And that's the most important thing, being aware of it, right? Being the most important thing with the dog, you have to be in control of your emotions.
Yep.
Because if not, it just creates more chaos,
Yeah, I
right?
agree.
It creates more, especially with a dog that's already hyper vigilant, right? It just creates more chaos because there's no clear communication. So yeah, so any questions on that? Okay. So I know it's getting chilly out here. We can start making our way inside and start doing some work inside.
Do you want
So
me to
you know,
carry
I-
some of this stuff in? Over
Yeah, as a matter of fact, nope, perfect. This is good. Nope, yes, good girl. Say that again. Yeah. I'll follow you guys in. I'll come back out and get it in.
I'm supposed to be
Uh,
quote unquote working, so I
okay.
can't use my mouse. So
Oh yeah, no problem. I understand. We'll come back out and get it once. Yeah, once we finish. Lily. Hey. Yes, good girl. Nope. Come. Good. There we go. We're going back to the barrier, right? The threshold. So she sees. What's your dog's name? What's Maya? She sees Maya. Of course, she's excited, right? Again, we have to go in under my control, right? We can't allow her to control the energy going into the door. Because if we allow her to control the energy here, it's going to be the same everywhere else. Nope. Right? You can call her in. Hey. Lily.
Sit.
Yes, sit. Lily, sit. Thank you. Good girl. Heel. Ah.
Back up.
Nope. Hey. Yes. Ah. Good girl. There we go. Okay. All right. Okay. Good.
Back up.
Hey, Lily. Lily. Yes. Good. Lily. 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 Hey. Yes. Right there. Sit.
No. No.
Shh, shh. Yeah, it's okay. This is normal. Trust me, this is, they're both excited. But like I said, sometimes, especially if you have control over the more excited dog, right? Which, obviously we got the leash on. So it's easier to still control it. And sometimes it's just a waiting game. In moments like this, the more vocal you get, what happens over time is the more agitated we get, right? Because we're putting out more energy and we're not getting the results. You see, so this is why a lot of the time I don't even say anything. Because I know the more vocal I get, more agitated I'm gonna get. So all I do, right, is as a matter of fact, if you want, you can put a leash on her. Put a leash on her real quick. So that way it's easier for you to communicate to her. Hey, Lily. Lily. Right here. Yes, good girl. There we go.
Grab the leash.
Yeah, no problem. He says, excuse me.
Got a 3-week vacation.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let me see here. I'm gonna set this up on the floor right here. Just so, nope. Okay. Yes, there we go. I know, thank you. Good. Okay. Yes. Oh. You got to sit down. Oh, Lord, come on, wait a minute. Hey, hey. Sit. Yes, good girl. Okay, so, any questions before we go deeper?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything specific that you can think of that you want to address while we're here? Nope. Nope.
One thing I do want to
Hey,
ask is sometimes we used to leave shoes on the floor, which is a
Okay.
normal place to leave shoes
Ah.
on the floor,
Sit.
but she would still run out in the backyard, or, just to get our attention.
Yep.
Should we continue to monitor and put things up high, and is that
Sit.
behavior something that we?
Avoidance doesn't equal compliance.
I know.
So, as a matter of fact, great example. Did you see the last video I sent this morning?
Yeah.
So you saw how she was picking up twigs and stuff like that, right?
You corrected it and you went,
Corrected, right? Now, the biggest thing, sit.
And I like your, because it's not really a harsh no, but
Yeah.
it does.
Sit.
That's one that I've been using for.
Okay.
You never know it because dogs run
Yeah.
over you. But that's the one I kind of use.
Yeah. And it could be any noise, really.
Yeah.
Because really what the sound is, dogs are not verbal, they're tonal, right? We use words because that's what we do as humans. And then we teach them to apply certain behaviors to the words that satisfy us, right? So when you hear me say, hey, any noise like that is just really to break that hyper fixation that they're having, right? Because you need something, you need, specifically if we're using auditory communication, you need something to pierce that hyper focus, right?
Yeah.
Hey, sit. Hey. Now, the next thing, right, is again, tactile communication, right? So what I've taught her is what we call leash pressure in the dog world, right? Now, dogs have what you call, and we all have it, but dogs tend to have it a little bit more, and for a different reason. But dogs have what you call opposition reflex, right? To where if you notice just now, especially when they want to get to something, right? It's like, okay, I'll put it to you like this. It's like the kid in school that faked like he was tough, But when the person is holding them back, they're like, why are you holding me back? Why are you holding me back? But then the person let them go. And it's like, keep holding me back, right? It's kind of like the same thing. So when they want to get to something, the more you pull them back from it, the more they want to go to it, right? Because it creates that frustration. And I actually learned that, I don't know if I told you that, I actually train protection dogs. So we use frustration to build more aggression in the dog, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is they have to go through a period where when I pull up on the leash like this, right? What I'm asking her to do is to sit down. Now, because, good girl, because she wants to, she's gonna fight against it a little bit, right? But eventually, she gets to the point where over time, right, she will begin to perform the sit faster and faster, right? Because of that, right? But again, it's the teaching that we have to do. But then also you have to realize, just like us, in certain moments, our brain is not fully engaged with what's going on. So now I have to figure out, she's interested in him taking his coat off, right? Something as little as that, you can see the intensity in what she was paying attention to with you, right?
Yeah.
Because of her, I don't want to say lack of ability to focus, it's because she has such a high drive to do things, right? So for her, you have to be able to switch between, or you have to be able to discern what's the best form of communication. Is it tactile, right? Is it verbal? Is it what's the smell? What's the best form of communication? And she's gonna kind of determine that, right? Depending on the intensity of where she is, right? So because in this moment, and she's starting to calm down, good girl, there you go. Good girl, yes. Yeah. So the only, I do my best to use verbal when I know I have her brain already. When her brain is hyper-focused on something else, I use very little verbal.
Yeah.
I typically go straight to tactile communication because that's the quickest, most efficient form, right? And what it does, it takes my emotions out of the picture. Because again, the more verbal as humans we get, typically the more emotional we get. Because typically that's a debate, that's an argument, right? I don't want to argue with a dog. I'm smarter than a dog, right? You know, it's, I don't know if this is the same in a rap song, you know, when you argue with a fool from a distance, you don't know who's who, right? So, me arguing with a dog just makes me look dumb.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me look silly, right? So, I'm just gonna go to the quickest form that's gonna get her communication without making me look like a fool, right? So, and that's physical communication, right? So again, if you notice, I use very little words, right? And all I'm waiting for her to do is go into kind of that avoidance state of mind. Because then I can talk to her more, right? Hey, nope. Thank you, good girl. So now she's starting to get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once she kind of,
Just give up.
I want that so bad, but I can't have it.
yeah, it's patience. And you know, even though they're the same breed, they're two different dogs.
Oh yes, they are.
Character-wise, right?
Yes, we know that.
Very different. So, and it's funny, I ask people this all the time. I don't know if I ask you guys. I ask people all the time why they get a specific breed. Like, why did you get this breed?
Yeah.
Right? Did I ask you guys
Yeah,
that?
you did.
Because I want to see what was the goal of, you know, why you got that particular dog. Because as we know, and there's not so much true today, but as you know, certain breeds were created for specific things, right? Labs were actually created to be energetic dogs. They were bred to be working dogs, right? So I'm like, okay, what did you expect when you got this breed?
We did expect that.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Because we've
Yeah.
had several. And she is a very different breed. I mean, she's
Yeah.
kind of like, I would say, the unusual version of this
yeah,
breed.
right.
But she's also old.
She's older. Yeah,
She's old.
exactly.
So
yeah.
she's had years to
kind of figure it
mellow
out.
out.
Yeah, for sure.
So
So yeah, but the reason why I ask that is not necessarily as a to make it a negative thing.
no,
It's to make it a realistic thing, right?
we knew what we wanted.
There you go.
And
right?
so we knew to expect a lot of that.
Yes.
We
Yes.
expected a good chunk of that.
Okay.
We didn't expect was that she was extra that we had.
Yeah.
And it had started to die out a little bit, like
Yeah.
that impulse control had died out
Yeah.
to the amount that we thought that it normally was.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what? And the reason why I ask that question is because a lot of the dogs now, even though they carry the same look and the same breed name, a lot of them are not true to the original nature of the dog,
Yeah, I
right?
would say she's actually lower than.
Yes.
She's much lower than breed standard.
Breed standard, yeah.
in personality.
For sure.
Our other two,
Okay.
much more along this line.
Okay.
But this one is extra. She's a little extra.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're gonna get those anomalies, but it's an anomaly to us because we just don't use it for what they're originally used for, right? But she is very much a characteristic of a lab. So now what we have to do is separate the breed. We have to separate the dog from the breed,
Yeah.
so to speak, right? Because now, even though we're dealing with the same breed, it's a different dog.
Fair.
You see what I mean?
I do, yeah.
So and people, because we don't use the dogs for what they're originally used for, we look at a lot of these behaviors as a negative thing. It's like, no, that's what we made it to do.
Yeah.
She's only doing
What she's designed to do.
what the mad scientists made her to do, right? So now what we have to ask her to do, which, if we're being honest, is a little unfair, is, hey, control yourself. When I bred you to be through the roof, right? That's what your genetics is telling you, your biology is telling you to do this, right? So now this is why we have to be super patient and give more grace than normal, because we have to allow her to process that, right? And still remember, she's a puppy, because we don't want to suppress her so much where it takes away from her personality, because you can do that, right? And you get a timid dog, you get an insecure dog. You don't want that. You want her to be a happy dog.
I don't want her to be confident.
Exactly. You want all of that stuff, right? So you don't want to take that away. But there's a certain element of suppressing some of that. Now, where the trick comes in is using the discernment to determine, okay, are we doing too much? Or are we doing just enough, right? That's the tricky part with training. And that's where, honestly, a lot of trainers get in trouble, right? Because they lack the discernment, right? So that's why, if you notice, the first thing that I'm always trying to do is make sure that I have control of my emotions. That's the number one thing. Because again, I'm human. I lose my patience too.
Yeah.
I'm not a machine. Wife asks me all the time, like, do you have any feelings? I'm like, yeah, I just learned how to control it. Because I deal with dogs, right? So that has helped me learn how to control my emotions, right? So a lot of the time when I'm training the dog, especially when I know they're in an excited state of mind, it's not that I'm ignoring them. It's just, okay, what state of mind am I in? And then, once I know that I'm in the right state of mind, then I can communicate with the dog a little bit more, right?
You're not feeding into her state of mind.
Exactly. Because if we're frantic and anxious and frustrated, that's going to translate right through the leash. Like literally, she can feel it.
Oh, I've experienced it myself.
Yeah.
For sure, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's the most important thing. So now, here, right, her ears are back, she's still kind of looking at you. The ears aren't forward. She's not trying to move. I'm not stopping her, right? The brain is starting to calm down. So now I can talk to her more, right? So I just do, hey, Lily, come, good girl. Yes, sit. Yes, down. Yes, that's a good girl, right? So So now we can talk, right? Because I see, I'm not, you see what I mean? So now,
You drop this.
yeah. So, but you see how that works though? Living.
And then how it unworks.
Yeah. And again, she's still living, right?
Yeah.
So, but again, it's just learn. I'll put it to you like, hey, sit. Hey, sit. Good girl. I'll put it to you like this. In order for her to become smart, we have to become dumber. And basically what I'm saying is dogs are very black and white. There's very little gray area with a dog, right? The gray area for us is too much empathy. Too much. Now, there's nothing wrong with a little, right? But you gotta remember, dogs do not use empathy as the main motivator. You know, or the main. It's not, okay, if I had to categorize it, right? You got discipline, you got love, and then everything else, whatever that is, right? Discipline is at the top, like by far. Like if it's a triangle, discipline is probably about 3/4 of that triangle. Everything else is the 1/4, right? Because you gotta, hey, you gotta remember, in the wild, they still have wild nature, right? This is wild nature, right? This is her being a dog without restraints, right? But in the wild, if you don't have structure, you die.
What kind of, I mean, because we both work from the house.
Mhm.
She spends very little time in the crate
Okay,
on an average day.
okay.
What does that piece look like now?
The same thing you saw in the car. I would still put her in the crate. So if you could bring the crate next to you.
Right now?
Well, no, I'm just in general. Like if you're
Oh,
working at your desk,
yeah.
right? If you could place the crate next to you,
Yep.
work on what we did in the car. Making her stay in the crate with the door open, right? That's training. So now what that translates to is, hey, go to your bed, stay there, don't move, right? It's the same thing, right? So
Is that the word you were using, bed?
I say go to your room.
Go to your room.
Yeah. But whatever word you can fairly easily change the word. But yeah, I say go to your room. That's what I use. Yeah. So and she actually was pretty. She's damn perfect in the crate. Like,
Yeah, she's a good crater.
Yeah, I see rabbits out there. I know she was crazy for rabbits.
She does. She doesn't know yet. She's like, whatever. But yeah, she's a rabbit
She'll pull me
chaser.
down. This is the only time that she really gets super excited.
Uh-huh.
She'll pull me to the ground with a rabbit. Yeah. So we probably need to send her to.
You can teach an old dog new tricks. Oh,
Yeah, we have. I mean, I have
Sure.
worked with her, but.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one thing I would do. Put the crate next to you, leave the leash on her, because that just gives you easier access to her where you don't have to try to grab her if she runs out of something like that. And practice that. Yeah, practice that. I would practice, honestly.
So just not letting her have free reign of the house from now on?
Not until she controls herself, right? Not until you can control her without physically having to touch her, right? And how long that's going to take, I don't know.
I mean, so like on an average day, I mean, we start off the day with, we do some work in the morning or something like that, and then after that,
take her outside, let her run around, get some, let her work that out, use the bathroom and all that stuff. I would say.
Does that mean physically throwing a tennis ball every morning?
You can do that. But if you're going to do that, work on the recall, right? So you can get a retractable leash, right? Which I love retractable leashes. You have,
Oh, yeah.
Put her on a retractable leash, throw the ball, right? Come, right? Work on the recall. So as opposed to just kind of letting her do whatever she wants to do, you still have structure in that, right?
Okay.
You see what I mean? So that's why I said every opportunity is time to train, right?
This is a whole lot. So is there any time that we just kind of let her have free time and run
that's
around
what you
the
want.
house and?
What? So the answer to your question is yes, But the real answer is I have to ask you a question. What is it that you want?
I want her to be better behaved when
Okay.
we're not looking. And,
Okay.
you know, I'd like to give her just free reign in the house like this one.
Mhm.
This one has free reign in the house. And,
Yep.
you know, she manages her energy level to
Mhm.
the point where it's acceptable. And
Yeah.
that's what I want.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if she will ever be that dog. She's an opportunist. Just like some people you just can't trust by themselves. It just is what it is.
Really?
Some dogs you always have to keep an eye on. I have dogs like that. They have more control. But they're not the dogs that I'm gonna trust to leave in my house and not go in the garbage. I have to be there. They're just that dog.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do about it. They're just that dog. Some dogs, total trust. Won't go in the garbage, won't tear stuff up, won't grab my sneakers. Other dogs, if I'm not there, oh, you better believe it's getting tore up.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying. You have to separate the dog from the breed. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Some dogs, they're just that dog.
And you think that she's probably that kind of dog?
She could be.
Yeah.
If I had to take a guess, I would say yes. Well, you saw what happened just now. As soon as I put the leash down, guess what she did? She put her mouth on it and started showing it up.
Yeah.
She's an opportunist. That's just who she is. So some dogs, unfortunately, you just can't trust like that. You have to be there. That's why the crate is such a powerful tool.
Yeah.
Because it allows you to have that control without having to be there.
Right.
The second option is have cameras around the house and put a heat collar on it.
A heat collar?
An e-collar.
A heat collar.
Yeah. Yeah. Because essentially what that allows you to do is be in control and not be there. So now in her mind, what that does over time is somebody is always looking. Because every time I go to think about doing something, I feel a correction. That's the benefit of an e-collar. It's like an invisible leash.
Over your phone or something? Or?
No, it's the remote. So like if you're in your office and she's
So you
down
have to be
here,
close to her. Okay.
you don't have to be close to it, right? Unlike a leash, you have to physically be there to get that correction, right? So, but that would be the other option, you know, if that's something you're open to doing, right? You know, a lot of people have a bad perception around the e-collar. The e-collar is literally nothing but a cell phone. You know how we used to have the cords on the phone?
Yeah.
It's literally a cell phone. It gives you the freedom to go to wherever you want. That's literally what an e-collar is. It's literally a leash without a tether.
So I mean, like, it sounds like we need to get energy out. How do we get energy out appropriately? Because that, you know, I want to exercise daily.
Okay.
We like going to the dog park, but
Okay.
is that something that we need to?
Dog park is excitement. That's not exercise.
What is a good exercise? Like, how do we
When she has to monofocus. Treadmill. Treadmill is one of the best things invented. Not only for humans, but for dogs too.
So, a specific dog treadmill?
You can if you want to. You can just use a regular human treadmill.
Because I have a treadmill.
Yeah, you can just use a regular human treadmill. Absolutely. Yeah.
Really?
Because what happens with
Has
dogs?
she been on one?
No, we haven't done that. But we can actually do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do it.
She went upstairs.
Huh?
Let's finish our conversation here and then we can do that.
I'd like to see him do the treadmill.
I'm not saying we can do it.
Or again, you guys have 3 sessions. We can have the next session and focus on the treadmill. If you know, but
I'd like to have her try it with you here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Absolutely, and what's appropriate speed, and
Uh-huh.
I definitely want to try that.
11.
Yeah.
11. He needs to go to 11.
Yeah, with an incline of 15. No,
Yeah.
but that's one of the best things because with dogs, especially with a dog like her, where her brain is constantly all over the place. She's looking for something to do, right?
Yes.
So what a treadmill does, it's like the hunt, right? If
Yeah.
you've ever seen like National Geographic, where the dog, the wolves are on a hunt, there's no barriers. But if you look at the tracks, especially if it's in the snow, you can barely tell how many dogs it is because they're focused. They have a place to go, right? So, and that's the same thing I was talking about with the structured walk, right? It's the same concept. concept. Hey, I'm the pack leader. I know where we're going. I need you to shut up and follow. Right? I don't need you to ask no questions. I need you to shut up and follow. Because if you don't, we're going to miss this meal. And if we miss this meal, I'm going to be pissed off. And I'm going to correct you. Right? But the correction in the wild is much more barbaric than what we would do. Right? But the concept is the same. Right? This is what I was waiting for. She's still not quite there yet because you see her ears are up. But she's starting to submit to the fact that she has no control. And we barely said a word to her.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So, and again, she's an
How
opportunist.
big your
You're not helping.
I'm sorry. Oh man, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness.
You're encouraging him.
I'm encouraging him.
You're encouraging bad behavior right there.
So yeah, but so the treadmill, right? When you put her on that treadmill, and especially once you get that speed to where it's fast enough to where she can't just walk off of it,
Yeah.
and she can't go backwards, right? And you're gonna have a leash on her to where it keeps her, on the treadmill.
Yeah.
But that's the trick with the treadmill. Once you figure it out, you figure it out. It's figuring out that speed, what's fast enough for her to where it keeps her on the treadmill, right? But not so fast to where she's,
Gonna fall and like
Exactly.
hurt herself.
So, that takes a little bit in the beginning just to kind of figure that out. But then obviously the better she gets at it, the faster you can make it, right? You put a little incline on it. Obviously, again, you don't want to be excessive with it.
Yeah.
But obviously the better she gets at it, you can challenge her more. But what the treadmill does, it focuses her. It makes her focus to go straight. It makes her do it,
Yeah.
right? Because if she doesn't, she goes off the side, right? So, but it's such a great tool because it makes her be monofocused, and that's hard for her. The fact that she has to be monofocused drains more energy than the actual physical movement itself. Absolutely. Think about when you're trying to learn something new. How much it drains you mentally.
To be hyper-focused.
Just to be hyper-focused on that one thing.
You're right.
It takes a lot of energy,
Okay.
right? So it's not necessarily about the physical because a dog like her can catch a frisbee all day and still come back and be on 10.
Yeah.
There's
That's
no
exactly
focus.
what we
Yeah, there's no focus. It doesn't challenge her mentally. So the question is, how do I challenge her mentally, not necessarily physically? This right here is a mental challenge for her. We haven't gone anywhere. You see what I mean? Eventually, she's going to get to a point where it's like, I got nothing else to give because I can't figure out how to beat this guy. I'm just going to give up. She'll go to sleep. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So just the fact that she has to focus on staying right here is more of a challenge than if we went outside and played frisbee or tennis ball for 2 hours.
Okay.
Because that's excitement. This is challenge. You see what I mean? So sometimes
It's a
when
new way to look at things, huh? That's a new way for her to look at
It's
things.
definitely
Yeah.
a different way for me to look at
Oh
something.
yeah, for sure. So that's why I'm saying even just making her stay in that kennel and sitting in that kennel is work for her.
She is so vocal, and it just cracks me up. You can hear her give up
Yeah,
every time,
yeah,
right? She just did it.
yeah. You can hear the
Exasperation.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's what I'm waiting for. As soon as I hear that, that's when I know I got her.
yeah.
Right? And you see the ears now? The ears are back, right? She's kind of on the side, right? She's still not fully there, because she's still vocal, right?
Yeah.
When she's fully there, she'll be totally on her side. She'll just give up.
Yeah.
Once
You can
that
hear-
belly goes up,
You can hear her do it in the crate. We'll put her in a crate, if we're not ready to get up in the morning, like, she'll sit with us, but then she'll go right in the crate for when she gets ready. And
yeah,
you can hear her just go,
yeah,
okay,
Yeah.
I guess I'm not getting out of here.
Well, so she gives up, but that's a hard concept for me because
Mhm.
the giving up and like doing what we're doing here seems like she's bored.
So, okay,
So it seems like we're creating a very boring life for her.
no, what we're creating is structure.
That's structure. Okay, I
Yes.
need to really change my entire concept of this,
Yeah,
and that is a hard lesson for me.
yeah. Well, remember,
That's why we're gonna fit you with a collar.
I'm
One
not
of the
supposed-
reasons.
I'm not supposed to.
Do you want a drink, by the way?
No, I'm good. I appreciate it. I got like 5 waters in the car. I just, I got allergies, so my throat, it's like you ever get like it's almost like a constant agitation.
Oh, I know exactly. Especially this time of year, I totally get that. No, I
So,
totally do. But it's more of, polite society.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it for sure. But yeah, so remember, discipline, right, and structure is in that category of discipline, right? Remember, it's the hunt. I don't need you to ask me any questions. I know where we're going. I know what we're doing. I need you to follow me. If you do anything outside of that, we're gonna have a problem, right? So, and that's what she needs, that, right? She needs that structure, because if not, your house would be tore up, right? You wouldn't be able to have any valuables in your house, because in her mind, fun is tearing shit up. That's fun for her.
Yeah.
That's her not being bored. So once we focus that energy, right, she actually becomes more balanced, because now you can tell her when it's fun time, just like we was doing the walk, and I was saying free. That was her time to do whatever she wanted to do, right? But then we have to be able to have the control to say, okay, no more free time, come on, we gotta go, right? So, yeah, we're talking about you. So yeah, so that's how that works. You gotta have that discipline and that structure first, because if not, it'll just be chaos. Yeah, and that's actually more detrimental to her mental state than the structure. What you're getting now is, it's a form of rebellion, because she's not used to it, right? Anytime we go through it too. We change a routine, like we fight against it a little bit, because that's not what we're used to. But once we get used to it, we're like, oh, this ain't so bad. I'm cool with it. It's the same thing. It just takes her a little bit longer, because her genetics are telling her, do something, right? Put your mouth on something. That's what her genetics are telling her to do. So that's why I say there's nothing we can do to change that. That's why I said, I don't know if she will ever be that dog you just fully trust, because her genetics are always gonna say, put your mouth on something. Always. That's never gonna change. We're just learning how to manage it. And we're teaching her how to manage it. But, I say once a drug addict, always a drug addict. Because you get that little stimulus, it's a chance you're gonna relapse. That's why they say stay away from it. So it's the same thing, and she's a drug addict. It's just in her genetics.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How did you do with the training and like the new schedule and the new routine? How did you do with all of that stuff?
Well, she had her moments.
Yeah.
She had her moments, but again, she's a smart dog. It's just once she learned how to communicate, then it's much easier to get her to understand what you're asking her to do. Again, she's gonna have her moments, right? So what I do is, once I assess the dog and I understand the dog, I don't expect more than what the dog is capable of doing in the moment, right? So, and that's really what allows me to be a trainer. Most people, they expect more from a dog than what they're capable of doing, only because we have to talk them, right? We're just expecting them to do it.
Yeah.
And it's like expecting a child to know how to control themselves. No, we have to teach them. We have to teach them rules, boundaries, limitations. So, and that's all it is with her. It's just teaching her what you want those to be. Like at my house, it's going to be different than here. So now you guys have to
we have to figure out.
You have to figure out what you want your rules to be. But the difference is, she has a foundation now, so it'll be much easier for her to understand what you're asking of her. So yeah.
Was she a hard train?
No, not even close to my hardest train.
Really?
I get some dumb dogs.
Yeah, no, I believe it.
She's not dumb.
No, she's not at all.
Any
She's
stretch of
very
the
smart.
imagination.
Very smart. Almost too smart for her own good sometimes.
Yeah.
Because that can get you in trouble.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way too
Yeah.
about her intelligence. I think she's the smartest dog we've ever had.
Yeah.
Like, she learned potty training in about a week.
Yeah, and she's great at it. Didn't have one accident. I mean, there'd be moments where sometimes, because of what I'm doing, she may not go, maybe an hour or two after what no problem.
Yep.
She goes right outside and eats.
Yep.
But she's excellent at that. I've never had an issue with that at all. So, but yeah, I get some dumb dogs. Those are the dogs that test my patience.
Yeah, I bet.
Because it's, just like
The two smart ones and the dumb ones.
yeah, but even the two smart ones don't test my patience. What they test is my ability to problem solve.
Yeah. You
So,
have a hyper focus.
yeah. So that actually excites me more because it forces me to get better as a trainer.
Yeah.
But the dumb dogs, those are the ones that test my patience. Because it's like, that is, hey, nope. It's like, some people are just not smart. And
We know that too.
There's not much you can work with.
you just gotta let it is what it is. You gotta learn how to deal with the people where they are. And that's hard for me, even dealing with humans.
Yeah.
So especially when you get to a dog that's already a lesser being, it's like, oh, that makes me work. So yeah, no, I've had some dumb dogs. Oh yeah, I've had some dumb dogs.
Well, can we try it on the treadmill real quick?
Yeah, sure.
A little
Let's
bit
do
of
it.
time to do that?
Yeah.
'Cause I'd like to see that.
Let's do it.
Maya would need some treadmill time. That's for sure.
Yeah,
She's a
for
little
sure.
bit of a big girl right now. She needs, I don't know if it,
All right, yep, I'll follow you.
okay. There's,
I love these floors, by the way.
thank you. This was a completely barren basement.
Man. And they're bigger than normal.
Nice space in here.
Mm-hmm.
This is, you have to go in like here.
No problem. Give me 1 second. I just have to call the guy that works with me. He's there, letting the dogs out and stuff. So he called me a couple of times. I just need to see what. Yeah. Oh, okay. Hey, no, I knew she had these. Yo. Yes, sir. No. I'm dropping off Lily right now. So, you can get your brother to take you there. All right, for sure. As we were just talking about Nope. Sit. 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 Go.
I got this guy.
Sit.
It's not super absorbent. Towel. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, this is the running.
And Agnes hasn't come down here yet, so it's even better.
Oh, she hasn't cleaned up yet?
No, not down here.
Oh, it's okay.
So it's even better.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Do we still need to take her to go to the bathroom, or?
You know what? Because I'm gonna be honest. Normally, when I first put a dog on the treadmill, a lot of the time they poop.
They poop.
Yeah. So let's take her outside.
One last.
Yeah, just to let her relieve herself because it was a long ride.
Yeah, no problem. Okay.
Yeah. Come on, Miss Lily.
With the one time I've tried the treadmill running with our dog,
Uh-huh.
she turned around and peed right on it. So I was like,
Yeah. And that's more of a nervous thing.
yeah, it makes sense. So I was thinking, I'm like, maybe that would like took our leash off of you.
Nope. Hey.
All right. This way.
Okay.
Hey Scott, can you help
Hey.
me with the door?
Hey.
Are you taking her into the backyard?
Yeah. That'll work.
Yeah. Okay. Where did he go? No. This way, Maya. This way. Okay. Okay, I guess we got that. We have a very skinny door because we have the back door.
Yeah, no problem.
Exit.
Okay. There you go. Good girl. Good girl. Okay. Hopefully you.
That's all she's gonna do.
Yeah.
She's gotta go more. I mean, it's fine to put boots there.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things where, you know. Okay. No water right now. All right. Close. Good. Come on. Okay. I think he went to use the bathroom.
Okay. Leave Maya.
Come.
Maya,
Come.
stay.
Come.
Okay.
Hey, come.
Maya, if you want to go on down there, I'll
Okay.
go because I don't really want her down.
No problem. All right. Come on. Come on. Okay. So we're going to set this bad boy up right here. Come on.
I'm trying my best not to like rage her. Super out of character
Yeah, no
for
problem.
both of us.
All right. Come on, Miss Maya. I mean, I said that. Come on, good girl. Yes. All right. Come on. Yes, good girl. There we go. That's a good girl. Yes. Okay. Now we're just gonna figure out how to tie her on here. Let me see. Is this the best way to do it? Yes. Yes, that's probably the best way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. And just wrap it
Sorry.
around. Yeah. No problem.
This little thing is Bob.
So now the trick with this is figuring out, okay, how much leash does she need to stay on the treadmill, obviously without fixating her, right?
Yeah.
But then also to where she doesn't have so much space to where she can just freely
Run off.
run off, right?
Yeah.
So that's the trick. And that's where the benefit of having a dog-specific treadmill, because they have all the contraptions, almost like a harness
Yeah.
to keep her on it, right? So
Yeah.
that is the benefit of a dog-specific treadmill. But hey, we can get innovative and use what we got, right? So it looks like
Do you have a?
no. I got a regular. I need to get a bigger one for my bigger dogs. I have like a walking pad.
Yeah.
So once a dog gets to a certain size, he's just too big for it because his stride is too big for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm actually in the process of looking for a facility. So once I really get the facility, I have more of the higher class, equipment and stuff like that. Yeah.
So what would you think something like to start her off?
So to start her off, we're just gonna start off at the lowest speed just to get her used to the unnatural movement of being on the treadmill, right?
So like a 1?
Yeah, the lowest speed, yeah.
It can actually go pretty low. 1 mile, I guess. Wait.
Come here. So, there you go.
Okay. Okay, here it goes.
All right. So now, sometimes you see how she's fighting against it. I'm just gonna hold her lightly, similar to a harness, right?
Yeah.
I'm just holding her in the treadmill, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's the trick with this, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Good girl. Good girl. All I'm doing is guiding her,
Yeah.
right? So I have my hand under her belly. Good girl. There you go. That's a good girl. And every moment where I see she starts to understand what's going on, I'm going to give her some type of verbal praise, right? So once she looks forward, then I'm going to praise. Good girl. That's a good girl. And
bring
what
this
I'm
treadmill
looking
for a
for,
walk.
huh?
I'm gonna bring this treadmill for a walk.
Yeah. Now, what I'm looking for is the moment where I don't have to hold her stomach, because right now, right, and this is the trick. Obviously, I don't want her to go off to the side, right? But at the same time, I'm checking to see when is the moment where she figures it out, right? And she's already starting to kind of get, oh, okay, this is not so bad. So now I can put up the speed a little bit, right? Just one level. Because I'm not really looking to, in the beginning, again, we got to teach.
Yeah.
So I'm not really looking to get the full effect of the treadmill right now. I just want her to understand the concept of it, right? Now, if you notice, you see how she's nipping, right? And you notice I'm ignoring that. Is the reason why. Is because I don't want to create aversion to the treadmill. If I correct her right now, she's going to associate that with the treadmill. You see what I mean? So this is where I strategically ignore certain bad behaviors because I don't want to create conflict with the thing that I'm trying to teach her, right? Now, what she's doing is telling me, I don't understand it. I'm a little nervous. Let me get off, right? Because she's not biting me. She's just touching me. That's really all she's doing.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm kind of ignoring that right now. Because my main focus is getting her to understand the concept of the treadmill. The other things I kind of have to ignore, right? Because I understand she doesn't understand. Because again, I'm teaching, right? So I expect her to be confused.
Yeah.
So that's where, again, I was talking about that discernment. In the moments where I understand that I'm teaching her, I'll accept certain bad behaviors.
Yeah.
If it's not egregious.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, if she was biting, trying to hurt me, then we got to address that.
Yeah.
But I would have to take her off the treadmill
To do it. Yeah.
to do it. Because again, I want this treadmill to be a happy place for her.
Do dogs like the treadmill?
In the beginning, no. Not until they learn how to use it.
But do they like it once they've started?
Absolutely. They'll love it. She'll get excited to get on it.
Really?
Because it's her release. It's how she's going to learn to express herself.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, to be honest with you, she's going to learn that you love her. So she's going to learn that, oh, I make them happy by doing this, right? And if you're happy, she's happy, right? So yeah, this is again, the patience, right? Now, what I'm going to do, now this is the next step. As soon as she looks forward, I let her go, right? If she starts doing this, I touch. You see what I mean? Because what I'm telling her is, hey, when you do this, well, when you do this, nobody's going to touch you, nobody's going to try to stop you, right? Mm-hmm. As soon as you start going all over the place, then I have to give you structure. That's where the touch comes in.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Negative reinforcement, positive reinforcement. The positive reinforcement is,
you get to kind of
I let you do whatever you want to do, as long as you're doing what I want you to do, right? As soon as you start doing all that extra stuff, I have to touch and guide, right?
This is fabulous.
So it doesn't take long, it's how you communicate, right? Nope. There you go, good girl.
Like, how long would you do this, like, to try to get her acclimated to this? Like, wait, one a day?
Yeah,
Or like 10 minutes?
You can do it. So yeah, so the
Like
general
this
time,
hard?
yes, the general time, I would say no more than 10 to 15 minutes.
Like 5 to 10?
Yeah, yeah.
To learn.
To learn, right?
But once she starts doing it,
Well, you can do it as long as you, obviously you kind of gauge her endurance. Of course in the beginning it's going to be a little shorter, but as she goes, her endurance is going to be longer.
Yeah.
So you just kind of play with it. You kind of play with your hands. You start with it on flat. Once she kind of masters that, start using an incline. And then once she masters that, start using an incline with the intervals of the speed. Yeah, we can stop it now. Yeah. But that's how that works.
that's pretty cool. I'm glad that we did this with you, because I've always wanted to do this with a dog, but because I thought this would be a great way to expel some energy.
Yes.
But I just didn't know how to do it.
Yeah. And the other thing, because she's so food motivated, once you figure out how to keep her, once you get her to stay on it, right, without fighting it, and you don't have to be here hovering over her to make sure that she's doing it, I would say before you put the speed up, get her to that point.
Yeah.
That way you can actually be in front with a treat, luring her to stay straight. Or there's two of you guys. One person here,
Yeah.
one person with the treat, and you can kind of do that in a tandem.
Do you actually feed her whenever she's running?
Nah.
No. Okay. Just
Yeah, this is just the key. It's like the carrot dangling in front of the horse.
Yeah.
Right? It's the motivation to keep going straight. So yeah, because you don't, obviously you want to give her a lot of food while she's moving like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
So the dog treadmills.
Uh-huh.
Would you, if you were us,
Mm-hmm.
would you invest in something like that?
Honestly,
Yeah. Or is this something this is good enough?
in my opinion,
Yeah.
this is good enough.
This is good enough. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. Oops, sorry.
There's nothing wrong with the doggy treadmill because again, it has contraptions on there that, just make it easier.
Yeah.
But if you have the patience, I mean, she'll get to the point where you won't even need a leash. She'll go on there and just walk. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
I love
I've seen dogs walk on tightrope.
Yeah. Slackline.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way a dog can walk on a tightrope and they can't walk on a treadmill. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you bring them up to a jog and a run on there as well? Or?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Or you were just specifically mentioning walking, so I know.
Well, that's just that's just in the beginning. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. She may not ever be that dog.
I know.
That's just who she is.
Yeah.
So yeah. See, every opportunity she's going to touch something. Yeah.
I know.
So yeah. So now I can hand the leash off to you guys.
All right.
And
When should we have you back out?
so tell people is, right, the time frame I typically say is give yourself a week to 2 weeks to implement your plan, right? How you want things to be in your house, right? What are the rules, boundaries, and limitations that you want to set? Because like I said, it's going to be different than my house, right? So give yourself a week to 2 weeks to kind of figure that out.
Yeah.
And then once you kind of figure that out, when I come back,
Sit.
when I come back, then it's easier for me to help you guys with that, right? And then we can also move the needle forward. So,
I'm trying to do it. Is this the right way?
yeah, you just apply a little bit more pressure, right? And you typically want it at the top.
The ear.
And that's where you guys have a slip leash, right? So I would actually
Switch.
put the slip leash on her because that allows you to communicate much more effectively and efficiently. So yeah, you just put a little bit more pressure, right? So how this works is the longer you have to hold it, because look, does she look?
No, but
You-
it just feels weird to me.
Yeah, I understand. But think about it. Think about how it feels when she's pulling you down the sidewalk. You think she think about you?
No, not at all.
Not at all, right?
Not even a little. No.
Not at all, right? Now remember,
Is she just not gonna do it for me, or do I need
Yes
to
and
lay
no.
pressure on the
but
button?
you have to believe it. Because see, you're already doubting yourself because you feel like you're hurting her.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And she can feel that, believe it or not. She can feel the insecurity in what you're doing because of how you're doing it, right? You see the slack in,
You touch the leash and she goes right into it.
yeah, because of the relationship we have, right? So you guys have to redefine your relationship with
I
her.
know. I'm worried about that part.
Yeah.
I am actually.
It's going to
worried.
take work.
I think I'm worried about my role in
Mm-hmm.
this behavior.
Yeah.
I am actually kind of concerned about it.
Yeah. So now what you do? There you go. Perfect. That's exactly what I was going to tell you to do. Right? That's exactly what I was going to tell you to do. There you go. So yeah. Give yourself grace. Don't try to be perfect. It's not going to happen. I'm not perfect and I've been doing this for years. I still mess up. A lot. But the difference is I know when I mess up and I can fix it. You're kind of learning that, right? So give yourself grace. Don't try to be perfect. The beautiful thing about dogs, they forget so easily, right? I tell people all the time, have you ever stepped on a tail or stepped on a foot or something and apologized?
Yeah.
And guess what? 5 seconds later, what she's doing?
She's walking around like nothing.
Like nothing ever happened. Humans think about, oh, you stepped on my shoe 2 years ago and you put a scuff mark on my shoe. Dogs, they have no concept of that. They don't. Dogs create memories through repetition, right? They don't create memories through one event, right? So if you mess up, move forward.
Don't keep
Forget about it, right? Don't empathy, let it go, because she forgot about it already. That's the beautiful thing about dogs. That's actually probably the one thing I love about dogs most. They are very forgiving, very forgiving. It's by nature. It's not like they're doing it on purpose. That's how God designed them to be, right? So yeah, give yourself grace. You know, this video is actually going on YouTube, so you can always go back and reference it. Obviously, the other videos that's in the group, you can always go back and reference it. And then I'm always here, you know, that group doesn't go anywhere unless you delete the WhatsApp,
I don't know your YouTube thing, so
I'll send it to you. Yeah, as soon as this
because I think
uploads.
you started talking with him before I got on.
Oh, okay,
So
gotcha.
I don't think I knew exactly where to find that.
Okay, yeah, as soon as this uploads, I'll send you the link directly to it. And then not only the videos of her, you'll see videos of many other dogs that you can reference as well, right? So yeah. Any other questions?
My dog's perfect.
Yeah.
It looks like a really good trade.
Yeah.
That's just by who she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she is.
Yeah, she's
We
a good
haven't worked
dog.
with her. We
Yeah.
haven't worked with her. But
Yeah.
like I said, whatever worked with her has not always worked with.
Yeah.
That's 8.
She's also good.
Yeah.
8 helps.
Yeah. All right, folks. I got to get back to these other dogs.
Well, we'll reach out in another week or so.
Yeah.
We'll schedule something and
For sure. And don't hesitate to reach out in between time if you have questions.
Yeah,
You know.
I might.
Yeah, for sure. Do
Like,
it.
This is that weird part of
Mm-hmm.
come here. This is that weird part for me of like not knowing what I'm supposed to be doing
Yeah.
and trying to like teach myself how to do this. So I
Focus
might-
on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Perfect one thing at a time. Even if it's just to sit, focus on that. Once you get that, move to the next thing. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Because if you try to do too much at one time, you know, you're
And
gonna.
I'm thinking like short training sessions, like a 5 minute here,
Yeah,
5 minute there,
absolutely.
5 minute there.
Yeah.
Just trying to do that multiple
Yeah.
times a day
Yeah.
to engage her.
Yep. Absolutely.
I'm sure she's had breakfast. Has she had her?
No, she actually hadn't had anything because I didn't want her to have to use the bathroom in the car.
Okay.
So yeah, so she's actually due for food. Use that as a training opportunity. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. All right, folks. Let me hit this road.
All right. Thank you so
Pleasure.
much.
Absolutely. We'll be talking.
Yep. I'll have to unload stuff here.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yes. Let's go grab our things.